So let's begin our program this evening by talking about a topic that we did not have a lot of discussion about over the last couple of weeks, but I know has been of concern to our viewers, and that's K-12 or pre-K-12 education. And so let's start with you as our veteran member, Senator Pappas, if you'd share with us your observations about where you think that issue should go and where you think maybe the friction points might be.
Well, I think that the legislature has always had kind of bipartisan support for education, strongly behind the E-12 system, and would like to do as much as we can to support our students. The biggest problem here, however, is the budget. Last year, over the last couple of years, we did do an increase in the formula of 2% and then another 2%. And the public thinks that we have this 1.5, well, actually, we do have a $1.5 billion surplus. The problem is that most of that is not recurring funds. Over $1 billion is what we call one-time money. The economy is slowing down, and we will not have that money in the future. Therefore, it's really hard for us to do it for salary increases. So I suspect we're going to see a much smaller formula adjustment. We have under $400 million available, and it would take, that would be gone if we did 2% for the teachers. Especially if we did 2% one year and then 2% the second year. And there's other needs in the budget. So I think that's going to be a big sticking point. I think the House might try to find some other sources of money. Perhaps some of the tax cuts could be slowed down or discontinued. That happened over the last couple of years. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. But we've made great strides in recent years doing all-day, everyday kindergarten. I think it's been really good, putting more money into preschool education to make sure that our children are ready for kindergarten has been fabulous. We always have the problem with special education. We don't fund it enough. We don't get enough money from the federal government for special education. And I do think that school safety is going to be discussed quite a bit. And by school safety, I don't just mean a guard at the door. I think having counselors, having mental health professionals, all these things are really important to school safety so that students that are having problems can be identified by school staff. So that's kind of a summary.
Representative Vogel, what do you think?
Great summary. Not a lot to say in addition to all of the issues that we're facing. I do have concerns with the budget as well because the 2%, of course, compounds the second year, and by the time you get done, it adds into the budget, and it's going to be tight. I've had concerns with the pre-K, not because I don't like pre-K, but because I look ahead and I see where's the money going to come from, because once we do this stuff structurally, we are then committed into the future, and that's the difficulty here is that when we budget, we do a 2-year budget, but the budget has tails. And we're always facing those tails. So now as we approach this, we're not only looking ahead to say what do we have to do for the future, but some of it is baked in from the past. And I'm not on the education committee, so I'm not sure what the conversations have been, but I think it could be somewhat of a difficult conversation possibly in pre-K because there's such limited resources. Where do you go with it? And I don't want to speak for education committee because I don't know, but just from a financial standpoint, I think we're facing some tough decisions.
And we do have pension costs after the bill we passed last year.
Escalating,
and
too.
We should brag a little bit about that bill, Barry.
So let's do that. And I'll put you in charge of bragging.
Yes, and then we'll let Mike speak. How many legislatures have had a bipartisan, bicameral, unanimous vote on a pension reform bill, which all the stakeholders supported? We did call it a shared pain bill. Everyone paid a little more, got a little less, but we balanced it, and we're good into the future. So those of us who are going to go back on Pension Commission, we're not going to have so much to do like we have had for the last 3 years.
And there was an immediate $3.6 billion savings to the state in the first year, and ongoing, I think they told us today in committee, $6 billion over the next so many years that we're saving from not having payments going out by COLAs being lowered, more money going in from both the employer side and the employee side. So it's going to be balance it out and bring it back to 100% funding.
And for the pensioners, it's a more secure pension that they'll have. They won't have to worry about us going broke or bankrupt like some other states.
Some other states that haven't put the money in when they've needed to, or when things were tight on their budgets, they shorted putting the money in the pension. And when you don't put it in the beginning, that just compounds the problem of not having enough money in the end. And back to skip this K-12 again. I also don't serve on the K-12 committees, but in my time in the legislature, the special ed aid has been an issue that's always there. I think the first year I was in the legislature, of the 40% that the feds were supposed to spend on that, they only gave us 16% of the money that was actually they were supposed to give us. I heard something or saw something just the other day that we're down to like 8% of that funding. So I mean, it's not gone up. So they've never been fully funding it what they have, and so that takes away from the other students in the classroom. Also, we hear about special ed. We need to get more money to special ed, but then every year, I think when the budget's resolved, they put money on the formula, and there's this push between school districts that don't have a lot of special ed kids. Well, I want the money on the formula so I can get that. But then the ones that have a lot of kids with special ed, they end up getting shorted on that. So that's always a struggle that goes there, and it's easier to get buy-in from the majority of the legislatures and the school districts by putting it on the formula, but it doesn't always go where it needs to be.
You know, you raised this question about special education, and at the very start of the session, maybe even slightly before the session, there was a fair amount of press about some effort to maybe address some of the bureaucracy and form paperwork requirements associated with special education. I've got a little bit of background in this. It strikes me as something that's very much overdue. There seemed to be some bipartisan push on that. We're now, a month or so into the session. Are we seeing some action on that? Well, I'll pick on you first since you introduced the topic.
Yeah. Well, I don't serve on the committee, so I haven't heard the discussions going on in their committees. But there have been some bills and there have been some talk about that, about relieving some of the paperwork burden so that more of that money, instead of being spent on people filling out forms, they can actually be spent in the classroom.
I think it all depends on whether the state requires it or the federal government.
Right, well, right,
So
'cause you can't do anything about
even though the federal
requirements.
government from the get-go with special ed funding promised 40% and they're down to 8%, they still, even for that 8%, they still require these forms being filled out.
Yeah.
And so we all know how difficult it is to make change with federal bureaucracies.
Any thoughts on the special ed forms? We'll give you that when we move on to the next topic.
Not really. I mean, it is just one of those things that I have too studied it. Obviously wasn't aware of it until I got here, because the public doesn't understand the ramifications of all of these different laws that are coming down both from the federal and from the state. And running a small business, I can understand how nice it would be to make it more efficient, because time should be spent with people rather than forms.